so funky. Shake it. So funky that you just can't take it. Then go on. Use or lose your thing. You got to use or lose your thing.
Hey, Richard. Funny seeing you.
Yeah. I haven't been here since we were with Frankie C. the last time with Norah and the Willies and all
That
of
was
that.
that big dinner we had, and Jesse was here, I think.
And somebody recognized Norah, and when they said goodbye to her, they said, "Thanks, Laura," and they walk out of the place, and she never lived it down. Do you know Frankie C, Tony?
Yeah, oh yeah.
You've met him before at
Oh,
gym
yeah,
shows?
Oh yeah.
How did you and Norah meet?
That was through Lee Alexander, because Lee used to play some gigs with me. We used to play like the worst gig in the world. It's the hardest load-in on earth. You had to go through this alley-like thing that was like this big, like a Princeton sideways barely fit.
Wow.
Like your shoulders didn't fit. And then there was this winding stairway that, I mean, Lee could confirm this. You could literally would have to hand the bass up to the stage, and the stage was super high in the corner, and you'd kind of serenade the diners, who barely even knew if there was human beings playing this stuff.
How much did it pay?
Oh God, it was like probably like $50.
Oh,
you know?
okay.
Cheers, manja manja.
Yeah. Ching ching.
Boom boom.
All right.
Jim, Tony, you're not drinking.
If I say anything I regret, I want it to be sober.
There was a couple of years where you didn't drink.
No, there was like a couple of 10 years I didn't drink.
10 years?
10 years, yeah.
What was that all about?
It became how I was used to playing. And I just became used to having a few drinks before the fourth set. Then I kind of got used to having a few drinks before the third set. Then I got kind of used to having drinks starting at 3 in the afternoon before the first set.
Okay.
So I quit for about 10 years. A couple of years ago, I started drinking again. Now I quit smoking in January. I haven't drank since January because I'm afraid to drink because I'll smoke.
How are we going to finish the Little Willies record?
I'll drink.
Okay.
I'll drink. Because that's the most drunk I've ever been. Like recording.
On a session?
Yeah, I mean, I was ripped.
Me too.
And I'm willing to talk about it for an hour or two if you want to talk about it.
Let's talk about what your Italian family used to serve at the dinner table.
We're Italian American, so a lot of times it was, it was meatloaf or whatever. But my mother used to make ravioli, you know, like homemade ravioli.
Oh, okay.
And it was with brains.
Head cheese?
Yeah, head cheese.
Right.
And, which never bothered me.
Whose brains were they?
Like, I don't know, some animals, cows, it wasn't Einstein or any important brains.
Isn't there a thing on New Year's Eve in Italian culture too, like New Year's Eve where it's, Christmas Eve where it's all fishes or something,
Yeah,
like all seafood? On
Fridays, on Fridays we'd have to eat fish. You can't eat meat on Fridays up until I forget what it was, 1975 they changed it, I don't know. I guess God sent a telegram down to the Pope and he read it and, said, okay. I used to like eating fish on Fridays or not eating meat because a lot of times we'd just have pancakes or waffles because fish was too expensive. So, growing up, that's like a dream dinner. Oh boy, waffles for dinner,
Nice.
That was the Catholic thing. But
Speaking of the Pope, are your parents super observant Catholics?
No, I don't think so. my mother more so. My mother definitely believes in Jesus, and she actually has this little, what was that movie called, The Passion of Christ? Like this little Passion of Christ party, where like all her and her girlfriends get together and they watch The Passion of Christ. Like
How often do they do it?
About once a year, because they like it so much, and basically they beat the shit out of Jesus for about an hour and a half.
That's all it is, man.
That's the whole
And why my mother cries at the end, I never have made it. But my mother's My mother comes from a place I respect.
Yeah.
She's tolerant, she's smart, she's a great inspiration and all that.
Yeah.
But for some reason, she's into the Passion of Christ. I don't know why.
Maybe she'd enjoy the Antichrist.
Jim, how old were you when you left San Francisco?
I was 43.
I can't even picture you in San Francisco.
I
San
know.
Francisco is such a slacker town compared to New York, and you're so unslacker-like. Your brain is always buzzing. You've always got something going on.
I was a little tired of San Francisco.
Yeah.
And I think most of the people are here, it's about work. And I like that.
There's a purpose or like a kind of a driving
Yeah,
force
it's not
outside
about
of just hanging. And,
I mean, a lot of the scene in San Francisco to me seems like, well, what are we going to make for dinner?
right. You sure
It
you don't want
seems
some
like,
wine?
like dinner is a creative venture that requires a lot of thought, we're going to get our homemade pasta, then we're going to go buy, a tomato that's never been touched by human hands, that had a sphere on it and the dirt, and then they have their dinner, and it's not like, okay, let's get a slice of pizza and go see Richard Julian at 9, and then at 10 across the street somebody else is playing, then we'll end up at the Brooklyn Boogaloo Blowout,
And it's very political too. Like the big advertisement is that the food is all local, and that's happening a lot of places now. But it's on
What's that called?
steroids out in locavore, being a locavore.
You from Stanford, I mean, do you concur that San Francisco might be, I don't want to be here bashing San Francisco, but what do you think?
What I'm hearing is kind of like quality of life. People put a lot more value on that out there
Yeah.
than they do here.
It became,
Everywhere.
I think, an intolerant city.
Really?
Yeah.
In what way?
Intolerant for if you wanted to smoke, intolerant if you wanted to have loud music, intolerant if you didn't want to be politically correct.
They became the leftist Nazis that
Yeah.
Glenn Beck is trying to warn everybody
I mean,
about.
I would never want to side with Glenn Beck, obviously,
Right.
and there's
but
a
they
re-
epitomize a certain something that gets stereotyped from that side.
I think it's real.
Yeah.
Personally, I got like the hell beat out of me on the eve of the Gulf War. They were blocking Market Street, and I had a gig, and some guy blocked me with his bike, and I'm like, I had a gig, and so I tried to go around him, and
Oh, you didn't know it was a protest?
no,
You
I
just
mean,
saw something in your way and you had to get to your
I had an idea
gig.
he was protesting, but I'm like,
Who cares?
there's this one guy got a gig, I mean, you could protest. I don't like the war either, but I mean, whatever. I'm on your side. I don't agree with it. I mean, he freaked out. I kind of niched around him. I had a crappy little Opel car. It wasn't like I was in a Mercedes-Benz in a business suit,
Right.
with the Eagles' greatest hits blasting. And so, man, he picked up his bike and started slamming it on my hood.
His bicycle?
His bicycle. I stopped and I was like, what is going on? And he started yelling, this guy tried to run me over. And I'm like, who's he yelling to? Well, about 2 minutes later, like I saw a sea, like hundreds
mass.
of people, and literally my car was engulfed in black. People were kicking in my windshields, all my tires got punctured, and a couple people were dragging me out of my car.
They were dragging you out of the car.
Dragging me out of my car,
Wow.
and everybody started screaming that this guy tried to run somebody over. I was hanging on to my steering wheel, got back in, and I had glass in my eyes. This is a horrible story, really. Then people were having a trial, to decide what to do with me.
On the street.
On
just
the
like
street.
a kangaroo court that just came up out of nowhere.
And that's San Francisco in its worst.
So what did they decide to do? What was the decision?
Well, this lasted maybe 35 minutes, and I'm telling you, it felt like about 3.5 weeks. Finally, the crowd
Jesus.
kind of dissipated. People were saying, well, we ought to kick the shit out of them, or they wanted my car keys because they felt that if they didn't take away my car keys, I would run somebody else over. It is really stupid.
Bizarre.
That's intolerant.
Yeah.
And there was some other thing that went on, and they were burning all the SUVs in the neighborhood.
Oh,
And I remember
Jesus.
coming out of the studio, it was on 25th and Mission, and there was a burning SUV.
Wouldn't that be considered a pretty bad emission, though? Like a burning
Yeah.
SUV?
That's a pretty heavy footprint.
Like,
Good
thousands.
point.
Why do you want to play Telecaster so good? Like, it would seem like you'd want to just be versatile or like play all kinds of styles so you could work all the time. What made you want to zero in on Telecaster and on bends and on just all of the stuff that you do? Like, you
I don't know, I just...
It's not like there's any money in it, or that there was any money in it, or any road like leading.
Thanks, Richard.
No.
Thanks, man.
Seriously, I
Wow.
know.
Really boosting my confidence.
You know,
What gets you down like a hyper-focused road like that against the
Well,
odds of everything that you're probably being told by your parents or by like, you know.
I mean, I feel like I undeniably know what's truly right. I mean, maybe when I was young, a lot of the advice I got was to, be a Teamster and join the union. And I just didn't really feel like that was right. I mean, I decided I wanted to be a musician before I played the guitar.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I'm going to be a musician. I got to go get a guitar.
You just knew that that's what you wanted to do.
I thought that it would get me out.
Out of what?
Out of a lot of the options I felt that I might have.
Being a Teamster.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I remember thinking if it takes me 10 years to get as good as Austin Slater, who lived across the street from me and could play Let It Be. And I was really impressed by that. Even though when he'd play it and I'd be like, I really don't hear the drums or the organ. I think it's Let It Be, but where's like, I was kind of, what I mean? Like, but I kind of heard it, but I kind of didn't.
Yeah.
But I thought he was fantastic. And so I thought, well, if that takes 10 years, I'm going to do it.
Are you taking lessons again?
Yeah.
From who?
Jack Wilkins. It's like I came in and I think he said, he saw my wall and he saw some little cracks and he's like, oh, you just need to spackle this and you spackle this. But sometimes like he'll show me this like super monumental thing. He'll be like, oh, you just go jing, 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 ring. And I'll be like, what is that, Jack? And he'll go, it's nothing. And I'll be like, well, it's nothing. It's nothing. And he'll like really get hung up on that. And I'll be like, okay, like he doesn't want you to think too much.
Are you still taking lessons?
Man, I haven't had a lesson in 10 years.
You
What about
studied with
you,
Ron
Tony?
Carter, right?
Yeah.
Ron Carter sent him home crying one time.
Why? He just told you everything that.
Told me I sucked and that I played like I'd never had a lesson before. But I think he was kind of doing the dumb teacher trick, like of convincing me how bad I sucked in the first lesson, and you have to do this and this, and I showed up 2 weeks later like doing that like crazy, And he's like, you sound a lot better, you're gonna be okay, stick with me, kind of thing.
Yeah.
He had me doing these exercises of writing blues bass lines that were just quarter notes, and it just sounded like bum 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 bum. It sounded like that, and he's walking around me in circles like a drill sergeant. He's like, bring your elbow up, straighten out that thumb. I'm like, it's Ron Carter, I want to impress, I want to show him how cool I am. So at one point I just got so bored, I'm like, bum 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 bum. And he goes, stop. He goes, what did you just do? And I said, well, I guess I tried to sneak an eighth note past you. And he goes, Tim, trying to sneak an eighth note past me is like trying to sneak an elf past St. Nick. That was the funniest thing.
Shit is so badass.
Do you still take lessons ever?
I took a lesson a couple days ago. With
From
this,
whom?
This guy named Dom Famulero.
Oh, okay.
It's like, I really want to say more. Not that I want to play fast. It's just
Yeah.
I want to be more comfortable at the instrument.
I feel that way too. I
Yeah.
want to take composition lessons. I was looking at this Paul Simon record, Still Crazy After All These Years,
Yeah.
classic record. And on the back, he thanked Chuck Israels. So I did some investigating and I found out he took jazz composition lessons from Chuck Israels. So I decided I wanted to do the same thing, and I looked up Chuck Israels through a bunch of people. I just kept climbing through different connections, and I finally called him, and he was teaching out in Washington State, and he's not going to come back to New York. So he put me in touch with this guy that teaches the Jazz Philharmonic at Lincoln Center. And I went to one lesson with this guy, and just got my ass just brutally kicked, and I've never really taken lessons like that. I've never even been to college, so it was like I really wasn't prepared for that kind of ass whooping, and that type of attitude, and I just kind of ran out of there and thought, either this was the wrong teacher.
He was.
I feel like my songs, like I usually get them where they want to go, but it's so much hunting and pecking. It's just, it's so hard.
A bad teacher will leave you with the feeling of like, there's a lot I don't know,
Yeah.
but a good teacher will, and that's what Jack Wilkins did, I think, like really figured out where I was at and went, here, this is what you need, you know? And
Nice. Look at that frothy thing.
Oh, so great.
you get to keep the cup. I have like
You
a whole
get to
bunch
keep
of
the
them.
foam, actually.
Yeah.
I think it's great that either we have or want to still take lessons, because I know I, as you know, I teach guitar, and I told a couple students that, I said, yeah, I'm taking guitar lessons, and they look at me like, I'm with the wrong guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
you can't tell that to
he
somebody
doesn't
who
know
doesn't
everything.
understand.
You know, and it's like,
That's awesome.
But I'm with the right guy, because the guy who says, I know everything and there's nothing more to learn.
You're right. That's
It's
the right
over.
attitude. That's what you want from
That's
a
what
teacher,
you-
is someone who's still exploring.
The best athletes in the world have coaches.
that's eloquently put.
I got one other question for everybody here. I guess about 15 years ago, I got turned on to Bill Hicks, the comedian.
Oh.
And there was just something so actualized about him and so honest about him. It made me want to be more honest, like in my own music, and it changed a lot of things for me. Is there anybody that in a really, not in just some bullshit way like, oh, I love Jack Lemmon or something, but like in a real way, anybody that's influenced your work ethic or...
Jimmy Connors, man.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Just...
I haven't thought about him
There's
for a
some
while.
matches watching him where I literally had goosebumps because he was like this blue collar. He didn't come from like whitey, rich, playing tennis at the country club. He played like he was broke because he was broke, and you know you just like. You know, and that there's this one match, I mean, everyone talks about when he's 39, man, at the US Open.
It inspires you, or you relate to the story in some kind of way, or...
It's someone who works really hard and just puts everything into every stroke, and that's, I mean, so for me it was sort of like, I don't care if I'm playing whole notes, every note I
Whatever
play,
it is,
you just
it has
you
to have some
commit,
purpose.
you commit to that note.
Yeah,
and
your drumming is like that too. And I hate it when I see drummers just like sweep across like 3 cymbals and get like no tone out of it or something. Like it's just this little thing like, I'm bored and something has to happen, or there's no like,
shit, man.
you know what I mean? I always rather just see a guy just like find that sweet spot on the ride and just go at it, man, and make it sound great,
Deliver
you
it,
know,
yeah,
instead of,
just-
you know.
But speaking of comedians, I know you guys are in the Hicks. George Carlin.
Yeah.
Here's to George Carlin.
George
George
Carlin,
Carlin.
man.
And to a very good hang.
And to a
Yes.
most
Very fun.
All right. Perfect.
yeah.
Brooklyn in the morning and a breeze through the back door. There's a back door in Brooklyn, a breeze. Early birds are out making a racket in the tree. There are birds in Brooklyn.
Check, please.